Hallo und willkommen zurück zu noch einer kleinen Runde.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay. Da ist der Becher.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked.
Wie komme ich
Stanley
dahin?
just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
Kann ich hier noch irgendwas machen mit dem Eimer?
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his
Ich
co-workers really
weiß.
all be gone?
Gucken, was wir hier noch machen können. Kann garantiert alle PCs ausmachen.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay. Gehen wir mal nach links. Gehen wir nochmal zu den Leuten. Muss es da noch irgendwas geben?
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Okay. Nochmal die Besenkammer.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
So, hier war das Klo. Gibt hier irgendwas, was ich tun kann? Mit dem Eimerchen? Business Time. Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Das weiß ich.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Okay, hier geht's daraus. Gibt's hier noch irgendwas? Nee. Okay, was gibt's hier noch? Kann ich eigentlich mit dem Ding wieder hochfahren?
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley.
Dann fahren wir nach
Everything
oben.
will be fine.
Gucken wir das einfach mal. Das funktioniert.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again.
Einmal schwieg.
Bucket said nothing.
Okay. Man konnte also rausfallen aus dem... So, ist wieder Licht an hier?
we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over.
Irgendwas hat er gerade geöffnet. Irgendwas ist hier. Definitiv. Okay.
Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Ja. Ist hier noch irgendwas? Muss hier noch irgendwas geben?
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Okay.
A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he? Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Nee, jetzt gucken wir nochmal hier. Vielleicht gibt es hier noch irgendwas. If the light is on, call. Das gibt es ja auf dem Telefon, wa? Ich sehe so wenig. Wir gehen jetzt mal. Kann man? Hier komme ich nicht durch.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both
Ich
meet a
weiß.
violent
Aber
death.
vielleicht gibt es ja noch irgendwas.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and
Ja,
get
ja,
back
ich
on
weiß, ich
track.
weiß.
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death
Ich
for each
weiß.
of them.
Da, nee. Da war ich schon drinne. Okay, gucken.
But of course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for.
Ja. Ist hier noch irgendwas? Ist so duster hier. Gibt's hier noch irgendwas? Nee.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Okay. Und was passiert jetzt?
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next?
Keine Ahnung.
Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning.
Okay.
It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Okay, Leute. Wir sehen uns das nächste Mal wieder. Bis denn. Ciao.